All right, we'll turn out to our business segment now, and we're going to be focusing today on the precarious situation that Western companies are facing in Russia. France 24's business editor, Charles Pellegrin, is on set for more. Charles.
That's right. This issue has become even more apparent this week as the Russian government seized the local subsidiaries of both French dairy group Danone and Danish brewer Carlsberg, thanks to a decree signed by Vladimir Putin back in April. This follows the introduction of new rules that allows the state to take over the assets of firms from, quote, unfriendly countries in response to similar moves or the threat of similar moves made by other nations on Russian assets abroad following Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Now, Charles, even before that, companies were facing a rather difficult situation.
That's right. In general, Western brands present in Russia were running a tightrope act. They were trying to balance the Kremlin's increasingly hostile policies on one hand and the demands of Western consumers and investors on the other. Russia wants these firms' assets to stay in country and keep their value, and they want jobs to stay at their pre-war levels. Western consumers and investors, meanwhile, want these companies only to sell essential goods or to look to divest from the market entirely. Well, Danone's local subsidiary is the biggest dairy producer in the country with 8,000 employees. It represents about 5% of Danone's revenue in the first 9 months of last year. Carlsberg's subsidiary, Baltica Breweries, employed 8,400 people on 8 different plants, distributing some of the biggest beer brands in country. Combined with operations in Ukraine, Baltica Breweries represented 13% of Carlsberg's total sales and 9% of operating profits in 2021.
So both of these brands then, Charles, were in the process of selling their businesses in Russia when the Kremlin made its announcement.
That's right. Danone started that process last October and had factored in that the sale would lead to a financial hit of €1 billion. Carlsberg, meanwhile, said that it had completed an extensive process to separate the Russian unit from the rest of the company. An agreement to sell Baltica Breweries was actually signed last month, but the deal didn't have time to be completed. And one of the factors extending that process was the fact that both companies were trying to secure options that would allow them to regain control of the companies within 6 years, something that actually was secured by French car maker Renault in Russia last year.
Now, Charles, there are still many Western brands still operating in Russia, and they're facing all kinds of restrictions.
Some huge multinationals still have large businesses in Russia, and they'll be concerned by these recent developments. Among them are PepsiCo, confectionery maker Mondelez, consumer goods giant Unilever, produces ice cream, for instance, Nestle, with 7,000 staff and 6 factories in country, and Coca-Cola, which has the largest revenue exposure to Russia among European consumer staple companies. Well, they continue to operate in spite of the fact it is impossible to take any profits out of country and that they must sell their assets at half their price and pay 10% to the state.
Charles Pellegrin with Business. Thank you.